And get the best part in every bite with the new Cinnabon Pull-Apart.
At participating U.S. Wendy's, Cinnabon is a registered trademark of Cinnabon Franchisor SPV, LLC.
KILT FM HD2 Houston. Insider access. Exclusive content. Sports Radio 610. The Texans play here. An Odyssey station.
Check out the BetQL Network. Wagertainment for every fan. Get sports betting tips from the best in the game. Available on the Odyssey app and our sister station 650 The Bet.
Sports Radio 610 presents Seth Payne and Sean Pendergast.
We coming to H-time. Let's get the work in, man. Let's go.
Great day, great day. Oh, give me some juice, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? Happy Friday to all of you. We made it. It's Friday. Good to be with you. Appreciate you getting up with us. We are with you till 10 a.m. this morning. We got a ton to get to on the show today. I am Seth Payne. How you doing, my friend?
You are the Media Alliance of Houston Sports Entertainment Media Member of the Year.
Yes.
Is this the award that you won last night?
Yeah. It was the Sports and Entertainment Specialist of the Year in Houston.
Basically the czar of sports and entertainment for the year 2024 in Houston.
That's what I've declared myself. At the end, I ran up and grabbed the mic and I said, "You all work for me now, okay?"
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, listen, minions.
That's right.
And I know you won the award relatively early in the night. And kids, I want you to pay attention to this old school sportsmanship. Some of us might have just walked right out and been like, "I got an early wake-up call. Thanks, everybody." Sean stayed the entire time, took pictures afterwards, probably signed autographs, everything. And but I do. Congratulations on being recognized.
I appreciate that.
I did not realize, for whatever reason, I didn't realize the event you're doing last night was this thing that we had talked about before.
Oh, yeah. No, it's okay.
So I felt bad that I wasn't,
It's all good, man.
I didn't give you an immediate text.
It's all good.
Is this going to help Ben and I get chicks or anything? Are we going to get some slough off? What's the deal here?
Let's give it a go. You know what? Let's combine draft week next week. We'll give it a go. I'll go out. I'll let you borrow my Texans WWE Championship belt. Yeah. I'll carry my trophy around. Ben, we'll need to find some hardware for you. Ben, what do you like in the way of awards hardware? Are you a trophy guy? Are you a medal around the neck guy? Are you a belt guy? What are you?
I've never won anything.
Okay, well, then Ben, I'm going to get you a medal. We'll have a trophy,
medal, sure,
a belt, and a medal.
A medal too. Yes, that'd be awesome. Sometime 20 years from now, when they do a behind the span documentary, and they'll be interviewing Brandy, and Brandy will be like, everything was real. We had a great marriage. Everything changed after Sean won that became the czar of Houston sports and entertainment media. And all of a sudden, it wasn't. It's not Seth's fault. It was everything was thrown at him after that. You're side man to Pendergast, and all of a sudden there's just too much temptation.
You're doing blow. There's chicks everywhere. I know, man. This Houston Media Alliance. It was interesting. I went into it and I didn't have like a written speech or anything because you don't know if you're going to win. I was pretty confident, but I didn't write anything down. I had like some bullet points in my head. But the first three people that won before me, I was fourth. There were probably like 25 awards, something like that. And I'm like, okay, well, the first three people that go before me literally got up there and said maybe 5 seconds worth of words. Now they weren't behind, they weren't in front of the mic or like in front of the camera people. These were like behind the scenes people that were winning behind the scenes awards.
Right.
So they got up there and they're not like doing what we do on a daily basis, like talking to people in that type of setting. So they got up there, each of them, and maybe said like thank you and got off the stage. And I'm like, God, if I go up there, am I going to be the guy where people are like looking at their watch just because I've got like 90 seconds worth of material?
Right. Yeah, that's an interesting. When the bar has been set that low.
Yeah.
Does it? Yeah. What is going too long? Typically, somebody would have already gotten up and gone like 10 minutes.
Right.
So like, okay, cool. People will look at my 90 seconds refresh.
Right.
Like that old Gatorade gum, remember?
Yeah.
It was good for 90 seconds. And then
the Gator gum.
I've got electrolytes in me now. I'm good to go.
and 90 seconds later, I'm chewing Play-Doh. What is this? Yes, it is Gator gum. I love that.
I put it in my mouth guard when I was in 5th grade because, I believed the commercials. So I would put it in my mouth guard, sucking in all that stuff that all the pro athletes use.
This is where I take the next step.
It electrifies your blood. Is the way I understand
Gator gum. Holy cow! I got to check Amazon. That's got to be still available, right?
I don't
Yeah, Gator gum. Oh my God!
Basically, like sweet and yeah.
So, Not surprisingly, I did go ahead and do my 90 seconds worth of material.
Did you think? Was it a thank you heavy or was it a little quip heavy?
No, it was thank you. It was a little of both. Yeah. It was a little of both. The picture of me, I had to get like a professional picture taken before this for the event, and they had an agreement with
the passport office.
And it's not a mugshot either. No, I had to like put on I thought it was just going to be a face shot, so I just wore like a sport coat and a nice shirt. Yeah. And I had literally these sweatpants on that I have on right now, these dark sweatpants. So I get to the photography place. I'm like, so this is just from the chest up, right? And they're like, well, we'll do some of those, but we'll do some that are like, down to like the middle of your thigh or whatever. And I'm like,
I don't
okay.
Like this guy.
And they
knew.
Well, they knew I had on like Jordans and sweatpants, and they're like, okay.
He's like, yeah. And he's like, oh, we got to get you out of those sweatpants,
dude.
Kid. If you ever want to make it in this town.
I'll tell you right now, these sweatpants I have on are basically like the sport
they're
I
more
have.
Joggers, yeah.
You couldn't even tell on the picture that they were sweatpants.
It's nice with these modern sweats.
Yeah, I had a hand in a pocket, and they looked and so they sent me like 20 pictures. The one I chose was actually one where you could see the pants, because it looked like suit pants. So that was my icebreaker. Was the picture of me was up on the screen, and I said, I'm so intimidated being in this room full of advertising agencies and executives and TV people, and everybody's so dressed up. I will tell you right now, a confession, those are sweatpants on that picture right there. Yeah. And everybody laughed. And I said, no, they're really sweatpants. Like, actually. And then, I thanked my teammates here at Odyssey. Our boss, I thank Parker Hillis and Sarah Frazier for giving me this great opportunity every day.
Yeah.
Cited a line from WWE manager Paul Heyman. I didn't say that's who it was, but I said, I go by the credo that every show is an audition to be invited back for the next show, and I want to thank you guys for inviting me back. That was my.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad somebody might have grabbed that and put that up on the internet already as a Sean T. Pendergast quote.
Good. Yeah. Paul Heyman's going to come after me now. So I thank my sponsors. Because the agencies in the room handle some of those people.
Appreciate that.
They like that. Yeah. I thank John Granado. Because Wendy Granado was there.
I'm out.
Wendy won. Wendy, you love John. Wendy Granado was there. Wendy won. She won Market Manager of the Year for TV. She runs Channel 13. But John gave me my first job in radio.
Yeah.
So Wendy was there. So I said, give John wasn't there. I said, give John a message. Whatever hole he send him a text and tell him to thank him. And then I thank my kids and I thank my wife. And I said, Amy is the perfect radio wife because she loves sports and she has a high tolerance for weird schedules and ADD. And I thanked everybody else and got off the stage.
That sounds like a good acceptance speech. That was perfect.
It was short. Yeah, it was good. So
the thanking of people is that's where it gets dicey. I notice all these GMs when they get up for their pre-draft speech, they usually do a pretty lengthy acknowledgement of the various scouts and area scouts and everything.
Yeah.
And I always feel bad because it's kind of like having to sit through the credits of you remember they used to do the credits at the beginning of a movie?
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, all right, yep, all right, thanks. Who's the key grip? Great, awesome, okay, good. Can we get to Cowboys shooting people now?
Yes.
Please.
When is Dorothy's home going to land on the witch? Please, all right? The Wizard of Oz did that. Like, oh, God.
Kids, if you ever watch a movie with your grandparents.
So true. I never noticed that before.
They would run, and it was with the worst music, too.
Yeah.
It was like, let's get some royalty-free music up there for 4 minutes.
Oh, my God. Yeah, so.
It was awful.
So it was fun. Big thanks to the Media Alliance of Houston. It was a great event. It was really, really cool. Got to see a lot of people I haven't seen in a while. So, yeah, man, it was fun. Did you see the helmet leak yesterday on the internet?
I did. I was this is where I'm torn with these things because I actually liked it. I mean, social media, it's always dicey because things are going to skew negative a lot of the time.
Yeah.
I saw a lot of divisiveness amongst the fan base. I try to remember with all this stuff that, look, man, when you see these leaks, it is not the lighting, it is not the shine and polish, it's not the context of everything else that goes into when you see something for the first time. So I'm almost like trying to scrub my brain of the image so that when I see the full presentation, you've seen the full presentation. Yeah. I haven't seen the full presentation, and I won't until Tuesday. I refuse. So I see that It wasn't an overwhelmingly positive response.
It was.
Is that fair to say?
It's interesting. It was very split. It wasn't.
Split,
yes,
split,
it wasn't.
yeah.
It was that. No, you nailed it.
Which
it
is almost always what happens with uniform reveals of any variety,
especially
but,
on the internet. No, that's a good way to put it. It wasn't an overwhelmingly positive response. Now, I will say this: that James Roy, James is one of the many Texans content providers. He's got a podcast that he does called The Bullpen, and he put up a poll, got about 1,000 votes. 55% love it, 17% hate it, 28% indifferent. So the true hate is only 17%. But to your point, like only half the poll loves it. I would say this, to your point, on the helmet, I would say wait and see it with the full uniform. This particular helmet that leaked. This is the Color Rush helmet that leaked. There's an H on the side of it instead of the logo.
It's got the H-Town. The main color of the logo is that H-Town blue.
That's right.
A lot of people. One of the bigger complaints were people saying that it looked like it was a Titans logo of some sort.
Yeah,
the font and everything, and the color is a little too close.
And it's a new
Titans.
H that people hadn't become accustomed to. There was that H that they were putting on a lot of gear over the last
that
year.
Gothic kind of print.
Yeah, and they kind of changed. This is more like an old English kind of H. It's a different H, So, but I would say wait and see it with the whole uniform, which we'll see by next Tuesday. And Cal kind of confirmed that was the actual helmet because there was a. Did you see the picture of Cal with his dog?
Him with his dog sitting like down on one knee, throwing up the H in front of his house.
Dog had a pendant that was about the size of my head around its neck. But what was the Easter egg in the picture was Cal's ball cap, which had the H from the helmet on it.
Yeah.
So it was kind of confirming, like, I was hearing rumblings like that was that helmet was like in whatever delivery company was sending the helmets to them, like someone ripped it open and took a video of it. Like
somebody at some company is probably having a hand examination this morning.
Yes,
all you see in the video is the guy's hands, the person's hands. I don't know that. Yeah, and so they'll probably just like try to do an analysis of the back of these hands.
Amy pointed out. I'll look during the break. Amy pointed out last night when we got home. She's like, you can kind of see the guy's reflection in the helmet.
Oh yeah, you can. You're right.
Yeah.
In whatever shirt he was wearing yesterday.
Yeah,
he has blue pants or shorts and a red shirt with white lettering on the front. Oh,
real sleuth.
Yeah, they got him. Whoever's
of course.
If that company cares to. If they're where they are on the supply chain, that might have a relationship with the Texans, that might be an issue.
Sean, text message. Sean stopping and yelling at people. Bleep you, you suck. Show begins with, what if I told you? The 30 for 30 you were talking about, the behind the scenes.
What if I told you?
I love that. All right.
Where would the saga of Payne and Pendergast begin? It would probably start somewhere with me blowing up on somebody at the Super Bowl.
Maybe. I don't know.
And you trying to keep Ted from leaping across the table at Rich. There'd be like some awkward moment.
Yes! It would be your unbearable moment, and then me like trying to hold Ted and Rich back. They thought these two would be the perfect combination for one another.
Sports Radio 610 was falling apart at the seams.
And these two came in to save the day.
Something had to be done.
Right. These two came in to save the day. All right, we're off and running on a Friday. Great to be with you. Nick Caserio met with the media yesterday. Oh, boy, I saw you did a YouTube on this yesterday, Seth.
Learning the language you've always wanted to speak?
Too hard.
Takes too long.
Not with Babbel. Babbel's lessons make learning fun.
Fun isn't hard.
Right. And in 10 minutes a day, Babbel's bite-sized lessons are designed to get you having real conversations in as little as 3 weeks.
That's not long.
It's not hard.
It's perfect.
It starts here. And now try Babbel for free by texting radio to 64,000. Text radio to 64,000.
Sports Radio 610 presents Payne and Pendergast.
Good to be with
9 picks. We'll see if that changes or stays static, but given our history, it'll probably change at some point. Try to add the right people, the right mindset. We're not for everybody. Everybody's not for us, and that's okay. We're just looking for the right people with the right mindset, that are right fit, that, we think can help us win football games. So not to oversimplify it, but that's the goal.
That's embarrassing. Early in the show here, kids, what you learned is you two can win a big award here in Houston just by stepping on Nick Caserio audio and forgetting what you told your producer. And
plus, not to mention the YouTube channel right now is just me. There's no Sean Pendergast.
There isn't?
The day after, less than 12 hours after you win Sports Media Personality of the Century from the Houston Media Alliance.
Right.
They cut you out of the YouTube.
Okay. Well, that's what happens.
Way to go,
man.
Odyssey.
That's what happens.
It's a way to show appreciation for the new czar of sports radio.
Is this where right? Is this where everybody comes after me now by not putting me on the YouTube?
Saboteurs.
It's
like Bob, it's no different than Bob Kraft.
That's right.
It's Bob Kraft calling up his folks at Google saying, "Hey, YouTube, that is just Sean Pendergast bastard off of there.
Yeah,
you can't trust him."
Exactly like Belichick, man. That's who I am. 6 championships, 5 Jim Rome Smack-Offs, and a Media Alliance of Houston award. 6-time champ. So that was Nick Caserio talking about the upcoming draft. Boy, Seth. I didn't get a chance to watch it yet because, as we've pointed out, I was busy yesterday. But I'm very anxious to sit down and watch this YouTube that you have of Feisty Nick. This is a banger. Is it true? It's an hour and a half long?
It's an hour and a half. Well, I do. This is the thing I do that I never would have, whenever you watch any of your tutorials about what you should do on YouTube or whatever, none of it's really, it doesn't work for sports. It's all these Mr. Beast stuff with editing and everything.
Yes.
I have no idea why people like it. I just sit and I watch the press conference and then I comment after each question. And thousands of people watch for an hour and a half or so. But Nick opens up with 6 minutes, a 6-minute monologue in which he thanks everybody, but also just kind of torches anybody that wants to give a draft grade or make an assessment of anything. A lot of nonsense. I felt the entire time last year, Nick was really disgusted by the misreporting and all of the other stuff, and this year he's just got no patience for it whatsoever. No patience for it.
All right, so let's do the one about the offseason chatter first, where the words "bunch of garbage" gets mixed in to this one. Here's Nick Caserio on the offseason chatter.
The offseason, some of the things that we've done, frankly, it's kind of laughable. It's so early. We haven't done anything. So what happened last year has no bearing on this year. So we're focused on right now. We're focused on the present. We're focused on improvement. And I think the players' focus is just on their attitude, their effort, and their commitment to being a good player. So outside of that, the rest of it is just a bunch of garbage.
Hey.
Hopefully we've improved the team. We're really not going to know if we have or not until training camp. I would say, and honestly, I think the division, when you look at what the other teams around us have done a great job. So, hopefully we can keep pace with what's going on in the division as well.
He mentioned us by name during the press conference.
He did.
So. Yeah, I don't think he was talking about us.
You don't? No. It's everybody else he was talking about, right?
He doesn't know. He never thinks that anything we do is garbage.
Ever.
It's not possible.
Ever. No. We never do any of the things that he's talking about here, like draft grades and report cards. And
we grade the mock draft.
Power rankings.
We don't.
No, we actually do all of it.
We go a step further. We validate everything. That's the problem. It's not that we're putting out the mock draft. It's that we're validating the mock draft. That's what really makes
I almost feel like him mentioning you and me during the press conference was like a bat signal for one of us to reach out to him so he could then tell us personally it's you with the report cards and the free agency grades. It's you that I was talking about.
We don't really get into the hardcore draft grade immediately afterwards.
No.
And everything. It's so dumb, and yet it gets so many clicks. So and therein lies the problem. But most people once you follow long enough, you know that this is one of those areas where I think when you're the athlete or when you're the coach or when you're the front office member, I think sometimes you're in such a serious world with football that you take everything on the outside. Even as you're trying to ignore it, I think sometimes people tend to look at it as more seriously than perhaps they should.
Yep.
Like try to remind yourself that it's all entertainment. You know, it's all entertainment, and yet for those guys, if I put my cleats back on and remember what it's like, it is all entertainment, and yet in your world as the athlete or the GM, people are getting fired every freaking day.
Amen.
So that's the hard part of it too. It's an extreme version, but like a really bad analogy though. Like the extreme worst would be if you're like fighting an actual war, and meanwhile you got people 200 yards away eating popcorn and laughing about like all the stuff that's happening and everything. You're like, what the hell?
Speaking of draft grades, what does Nick Caserio think of draft grades?
Yeah, I think anything that's said outside the building is just noise, so it doesn't really affect our focus, our preparation. So like we're just focused on our team, we're just focused on improvement, and we're focused on the work. So it's kind of like the draft. We go through the weekend, we're going to have on Monday, right, or Sunday afternoon, draft grades, right? I mean, it's the most ridiculous concept that I've ever heard of. What? Like, the players haven't even been in the building yet, and we're making an assessment about their performance.
Exactly.
It's the same thing in the off-season. I mean, the off-season, it's all on paper. It's all chatter. Honestly, it's, fun for you guys, I'm sure, to talk about. But our focus is in the building on the things that we can control, which is the work and just continual improvement.
Payne and Pendergast.
Literally talking about us.
Payne and Pendergast. Just noise.
I'm sure it's fun for you guys to talk about.
It's
like,
totally
here we
fun.
are. Yeah.
It's totally
We're going to
fun.
talk about you talking about it, too. It's so stupid. It's all so stupid.
We're going to talk about you talking about it. Yeah, the whole thing's dumb, Nick.
It's all, Nick, people have this insatiable thirst for the NFL.
Yes.
It's the whole thing, man. It's like people can't, it doesn't make any sense.
Dude,
you can't worry about
how
are people making a full-time job blogging about Taylor Swift? That doesn't make any sense either.
Nothing
There's a lot about Nick that's no different than Taylor Swift.
Exactly. I say that all the time.
Including that you're both initially skeptical about Travis Kelce.
Right. Yeah, sometimes I just send a picture of Nick to my daughter, the Swiftie, to see if she's like, oh, it's Tay-Tay. No, it's Nick. I know they're the exact same person. Dude, just shut it down. We're going to talk about you talking about it. It's not going to get any better than that. Oh, that's funny. All right, one more. This one was great.
It really, by the way, though, I think it's an indication where we are with the team as far as there's kind of been an arc where for a couple years there, Nick was really the only person of substance that was nobody knew what to think of the coach at any given time. And a lot of people would want to hear what Nick had to say. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden, D'Amico gets hired, CJ comes along and everything, and Nick kind of, moved back a little bit in terms of what people needed to hear from anything, the star quarterback, the head coach, all of that. But then now I've realized this offseason, just by looking at engagement numbers and stuff, dude, I think now the fervor over the Texans in general is such that it almost doesn't matter who it is. There's just way more intrigue and interest in these guys than there was at any point, since the late 2010s.
You nailed it. That's exactly right. Nick had 2,455 people at one point on Twitter or X,
so just on the Twitter during the
watching the live stream of the press conference. I mean, you couldn't draw flies to press conferences in the last 2 years, and on Twitter. And he had practically 2,500 people watching in the middle of the day. Watching him give really long answers about the process internally and be kind of chippy about some of the things that we do.
It really is. I get overwhelmed with this stuff sometimes because Nick does. He gives so much content, but it's all in huge chunks, and sometimes things get lost in the wash. Like I've got. Let me just open up my editor right here real quick. From that press conference right now, because I did that hour and a half saga yesterday, which is way too long. It's too long. I'm trying to edit the clips down to like 5 minutes total. Yeah. Right now, I've got 27 clips. that are 13 minutes long total.
Yeah.
So I got work to do, Sean.
Yeah.
I got work to do. But there's good little nuggets in there.
Oh yeah, no, he gives you good stuff. It's an Easter egg hunt sometimes, and you got to find it and pull it out. But it's good. This is let's do one more feisty, Nick.
Okay.
This is when he was asked about the signings, the big name, splashy signings that he's made this offseason.
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't really know what that means. I think, when you put the team together, you look at the opportunities that are presented in front of you. I mean, Devin Singletary, was that not like a big enough name last year, I guess? So, again, we're looking for good football players with the right mindset that come in here, espouse our philosophy.
Honestly, if we're comparing him to Daniil Hunter, no.
I know.
It wasn't as big a name.
I didn't. I kind of imagine, like, if I were having a conversation with him, I would say, like, no, it was nice and it was a good pickup, but it just wasn't the same caliber of just bling. Like, for lack of any better word, just bling.
What?
When you look at the names and the desirability or how sought after that's the biggest difference, really, is that, look, yeah, Singletary, people know the name and they've seen highlights and what have you if you play fantasy, but it's not the same as just the flat out dollar amounts that some of these guys were going to command.
Yeah.
You're talking kind of blue chippers versus a commodity running back.
What's the biggest name that they signed prior to this offseason? Probably Dalton Schultz or Jimmy Ward?
Since Nick Caserio.
Since Nick got here. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes, one.
Yeah, because, I mean, for 2 years.
Nobody the first 2 years,
right.
And
a lot of it was a lot of journeyman types, guys that would make a lot of rosters in the NFL, wouldn't necessarily be starters unless it was injury or something,
right.
Or getting signed to a bad football team that was trying to reset.
Yes.
Those were who they signed this year. And then I think they upped it a notch a little bit last year in terms of the quality of some of the
– For sure.
Last year especially, yeah. Last year is when they really upped it.
Yeah.
Like, you took guys that are going to be starters on most teams in the NFL.
Devin Singletary.
Gave them short-term deals, yeah. And then this year, this is where you actually went out and got some of the marquee guys.
Yep.
And I think Nick probably chafes at some of the, I think he really has this philosophy of, like, look, until guys get on the team they're on now, and he says in the building a lot, until they're in the building, until you actually see them perform for your team, as a matter of discipline, I don't think he wants to get too excited about it, because the fact of the matter is that it's just like being a baseball player, you're simply not going to hit every ball that's pitched. You're going to whiff at times, and you don't know which of the. He knows that he's going to sign a bunch of guys, and a bunch of them are going to be whiffs, because that's the way it works in the NFL. So why bother parading around in triumph before any of these guys have actually produced?
If I were Nick too, and I don't think Nick is wired this way, but I know I am, I would be like, hey man, don't group my splashy signings with the typical splashy signings, like Christian Wilkins or these guys that are getting contracts that are going to look like garbage in 2 years. Because I will say this about what Nick has done is he has managed to have maybe the splashiest offseason of any team in the league. I think without a doubt, especially when you throw Stephon Diggs in there. You could have argued that before the Diggs trade. With the Diggs trade now, I think for sure you can say he had the splashiest signing or splashiest offseason. He did it without compromising anything. He did it. Look at their draft capital. I mean, other than the fact that they're picking twice in the second instead of in the first and the second, their draft capital is intact this year. Their draft capital is all intact next year. They're not in salary cap hell, nor will they be, maybe until they have to start signing the actual good young guys that they've drafted the last couple of years.
Right, if it ends up being a good problem to have.
Good problem to have.
Say goodbye to guys.
Yes, and that would be the part to me where I'd bristle a little bit. It's like, hey man, don't lump me in with these clowns that are giving $120 million to guys.
That's true. Yeah, we spent our money. We were careful with our money. We spent wisely, as opposed to just throwing boatloads of money at people.
Splashy and smart. And smart.
There's a part of it, though, too, where sometimes when Nick talks, I just like it because he and I have both had the influence of Bill Parcells hammered into our souls. Yep. Because he spent 20 years. He spent 20 years with Belichick. I spent the first half of my NFL career with Tom Coughlin, and it was beaten into me that you should approach everything with a little bit of a sneer and skepticism. Like, you're gonna pat me on the back, are you? Huh? Hey, you don't know crap. We haven't done crap. What do you guys even do? Whatever. Yeah, great. Give me a compliment, wimp.
And meanwhile, I'm the other guy who's like, what did they do to you?
Yeah, yeah.
Chip is the first major of the year for the LPGA Tour, and it's happening this weekend in the Woodlands. Adult tickets start at $35. Kids 17 and under, you're going to get in free. So get out there and watch the best golfers in the world tee it up. In the Loop is out there today. So if you're out there today, be sure to say hello to Landry, and I believe it's still Brandon Scott in this week for John Lopez. Tickets and information.
Yeah, John Lopez saw a sloth yesterday.
Yeah, I saw that. Good job, John.
I don't think he's back from wherever sloths are this quickly.
Okay, yeah, probably not.
If you're in the mood for comedy, there's 18 channels that'll make you laugh. Looking for drama? We got so much of it, you'll cry tears of joy. Reality shows, game shows, sports, Star Trek, and even more Star Trek. No matter what mood you're in, there's something on Pluto TV. Just download the app and start streaming. Pluto TV. Stream now, pay never.
With more than 50,000 active clients today, the market has spoken. Call D&M Leasing before you buy.
Live from the Twin Peaks studios, Sports Radio 610 presents Payne and Pendergast.
Payne and Pendergast with today's headlines.
All right, headlines. Nick Caserio met with the media yesterday. We'll get into more of what he had to say of substance about the upcoming draft, where the team is. Top of the hour, we've got something that he said that I think is going to be music to Texan fans' ears, just about where this team is right now. We'll get to that at 7 o'clock. So Nick met with the media yesterday. We'll be digging into that quite a bit throughout the show today. There was another uniform leak yesterday, this time a helmet. The Texans helmet for their Color Rush uniform leaked online yesterday, was somewhat confirmed by Cal McNair with a picture later on with him wearing a ball cap with the logo that was on the side of the helmet. Sort of, in my mind, he was acknowledging, like, yep, that's the Texans helmet. Looked like it was in some sort of storage facility where maybe the helmets were getting shipped from or whatever.
Right, shipped from or shipped to. It's
someone's got a meeting with their boss today, I would say.
The guy who took it, as was one of our listeners pointed out, or somebody pointed out, who pointed this out. You can see the reflection of the guy in the.
Yeah, Amy said that to me this morning. Yeah.
So anybody wearing blue pants or shorts with a red T-shirt with white letters on the front yesterday. Yeah. They matched the hands there a little bit. I think it'd be pretty easy to see who it was.
Yeah.
Unless it's the president of the company, this guy might have some issues.
That's right.
And if he is the president of the company, he might have some issues with his partnership with whomever.
No doubt. So that leaked yesterday. I would say maybe mixed reviews on the helmet. I like it. A lot of people liked it. A lot of people didn't. I think that's going to be the case, and like any uniform drop. I would say I think I don't want to predict what the reaction is going to be on Tuesday. We'll see what the reaction is on Tuesday to the uniforms. Just know that there have now been a leak of a full uniform, and now the Color Rush helmet. Somebody texted this earlier, Seth, and said, I think people are just getting annoyed with the leaks in general. The slow rollout has just been weird, in my opinion. Keep in mind, there's been 2 leaks, and the Texans haven't been behind either of them. They've leaned into them after they've happened.
Right.
But they haven't been they haven't been the one. They weren't the ones leaking an awful picture of a regular civilian model wearing a uniform in a warehouse.
If there's one thing about it that they've done that's been good, that's been, I think, almost objectively good, is that I feel like they've responded to the leaks with a lot of fun and they played along with it. They haven't gotten psychotic about it. I don't know. They haven't sent anybody off to Siberia publicly, and I think that part of it's just what's changed. So any uniform reveal, some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. I personally, honestly, I'm kind of like Nick said yesterday. I'm not the guy I'm wearing an Under Armour, a 3-year-old blue Under Armour T-shirt right now. Yeah. That's how much I know about uniforms.
I have on my Roman Reigns Levels Above T-shirt that I bought, along with my championship belt. Yeah.
So people are going to like it, and some people are going to hate it. I think the way that they've responded is kind of like the Texans have learned how to use social media and connect with the younger fans a lot more like a lot of modern NFL pro teams now. There's got to be a certain irreverence about it, and I think that's one of the biggest changes that Cal and Hannah have really played along with a lot of stuff that I don't think they probably would have the last few years.
Yep.
Or they started doing it a year or 2 ago, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, they'll be in studio on Tuesday during In the Loop. They're coming up here at 11 o'clock, the day of the uniform drop. I believe they dropped the uniforms on social media that morning, so they'll be in here shortly after that, and then the party on Tuesday night, and then the draft party on Friday. Speaking of Caserio, this is the audio Seth was talking about. They asked Nick, very last question of the press conference. So, what do you think of the uniforms?
I don't think I've sort of seen them. So, I would say I'm probably not the person to talk about relative to fashion. You guys have seen how I dress. So, but no, I think it's great for the fans. So, again, there's a lot of other people that have talked about the uniforms. I'll let them kind of handle it. So, play how will they look on the field. So, but I'm sure you guys can have some fun with that next week. So, all right, thanks.
Thanks, and then he walks out. That was the last question. He didn't walk out because he got asked about the uniforms. Yeah.
The two questions he seemed least interested in, honestly, and maybe it's because he knew he was at the end of the press conference, was that one, and the previous question was on Kenyon Green.
Yeah.
And, man, it was a whole lot of, after a lot of answers where Nick went on and gave you about 1,000 words or so, it was pretty just we'll see. We'll see how he looks. We'll see if he's healthy. We see if all that.
That's the right answer, by the way.
Yeah,
That's for Kenyon. That's the right answer.
So, honestly, I like the whole, I know they're experimenting with different fonts and everything, and I kind of like the old Gothic look about it. And a lot of it within uniforms always just comes down to, what have you accomplished in those uniforms?
Yes.
Are you going to the Super Bowl in that uniform? I guarantee you people are going to love that uniform if you can go and win a Super Bowl in that uniform. That's why, at various times, the Browns uniform is either the most hideous or the coolest uniform ever.
That's, you know what? Exactly. That's, when they're actually, on the rare occasion they're good, they're like, yeah, look at them in that brown and the orange.
Classic brown and orange.
Dirt, it's grit. What that is?
Penn State might be a better example.
Penn State's a good example, but the Browns, with the Browns, when they're good, the brown and the orange, that's grit. And when they're not good, it's that's poop. Look at this poop. Yeah.
It's disgusting. You actually call yourself the Browns?
Right. You're right, with the orange helmet. Ew. All right, Astros.
That elf actually kind of almost...
Brownie?
They went on that little... And I can kind of get with this elf. All right.
Yeah. You know what? Brownie and Flacco, the heroes that we need. Yeah.
The elf can come to the cookout. That's what I had said.
That's right.
He's invited to the cookout.
The Astros are back at it tonight. They were off yesterday, so that was good. They didn't lose yesterday. We like that.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah. Still 6-14.
22 pitchers, I don't care. About to be 23 with Verlander today.
That's true. It is about to be 23.
Your 23rd, this is 23andMe. So they should have done an advertisement with 23andMe.
Oh, my God.
Because that's how I feel today as an Astros fan. Justin Verlander, 23rd pitcher to pitch for the Astros this season.
Oh, my God. Yeah, Verlander tonight, man. This is it's an intriguing game tonight in Washington. This is thankfully a bit of a step down in weight class compared to who they've been playing of late. But this is, it's game 21 of a 162-game season. But I feel like if we're kind of assigning importance to games here, this is among the more important early season games in April here, right?
You know what I'm going to do too, Sean?
Yeah.
During the game 2 days ago, the afternoon game, when Altuve, like everybody always expects, was a base running master.
Yeah.
He could have put on a master's class on base running, stealing, heads up. He almost, at one point, he wasn't sure whether to go to third on a hit. He stuttered a little bit. You see, they close in on him. You're like, well, surely he's about to be tagged out.
Yeah, we've seen this before,
Masterful base running. I thought, nope, this is when the season begins.
Yeah.
This is when everything turns.
Yeah.
And then you get to the 8th inning, and Presley gives up to 2. Abreu gets beaned by a hard hit.
Okay. Maybe not quite yet.
Beginning, but we'll say, after the show yesterday, I went and looked at the different angle of Abreu fielding that ball, and man, that was a nasty bounce. It was a nasty bounce. I mean, it was not nearly as bad as I had just leapt to and latched onto. I feel like it's
like hit like a 45-degree angle, right? Right.
It was a quick array, and you could point out that if you're playing it classically by get behind it and square up, then maybe it wouldn't have caromed off out of control. But that wasn't awful technique by MLB standards, given that they got to get to the base.
No,
I was okay with it.
It was a lesson in him not having the benefit of the doubt, is what that was.
That was a lesson. The same way
had to be Abreu's fault. Yeah,
same as way the day before when Pena had an error. We still blamed Abreu.
That's right. Jump off make up your mind, man. Stay on the bag or jump off the bag. Do one or the other. Don't stand there in between. Yeah.
React to things that are your teammates' fault better and more quickly, damn it.
Precisely. All right, NBA tonight, final play-in games for the 8th seed. Sacramento at New Orleans, Chicago at Miami. The big stories in these two games: no Zion Williamson for New Orleans, no Jimmy Butler for Miami. So the two teams, Seth, that are at home, the two true 8 seeds, the ones that are the 8 seed going into the play-in, playing at home here, trying to get into the postseason, they are going to be both operating without their best players tonight. So this
is when the NBA season begins for me, Sean.
The last day of the play-in.
The non-Rockets NBA season, entire season without watching a single non-Rockets game. Pretty. I was kind of. It wasn't something I was aiming for.
You set out to do
until about February, and I was like, wait a second, I think I can do this thing.
I can watch no.
Kind of like when you just say, you hear these stories about people running a marathon, and like all of a sudden they realize, like, hey, whoa, wait a second,
yeah,
I'm pretty far out in front here.
Yeah, I might win.
And I persevered. There's a lot of frankly. I watched NFL films at times, old games and everything, when I could have been watching a non-Rockets NBA game. But I refused because I'm disciplined.
Yeah, good for you. I actually this weekend coming up where they've got 4 playoff games on Saturday and 4 on Sunday. It's a very underrated weekend to me. I kind of like that. Just settle in and.
probably look.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
KILT FM HD2 Houston. Insider access. Exclusive content. Sports Radio 610. The Texans play here. An Odyssey station. Sports Radio 610 presents Payne and Pendergast.
Sean Pendergast, Seth Payne with you on a Friday. Hope you had a great week. Hope you're having a nice weekend lined up for you. Nick Caserio, Texans Executive Vice President and General Manager, met with the media yesterday. He's going to come on with us the week after the draft. So the next time you hear from him with Seth and I will be following the Texans draft in about, probably a week or 10 days or so, thereabouts. I liked hearing this yesterday, and I think this cut from Caserio here, Seth, is a sign of just how much progress the Texans have made in the last couple of years, but especially in the last year. This is the big jump they made in 2023. Here was Caserio on what the constitution of the team is, and what he feels like it should be heading into the draft.
If we had to go out there and play a game, we'd be able to put a team out there, not necessarily have to rely on the draft to, let's say, add a player. Like, I think whoever we draft, hopefully they'll come in here and create a role and a niche for themselves. It's probably going to be hard to make this team or make a significant impact, and, hopefully that's a good thing. But by the same token, there's a lot between now and September.
So that, and hopefully it's a good thing. It's a great thing. It's not a good thing. It's a great thing. Think about this team the last 2 years, Seth. There was a game in 2022. I don't remember which game it was, but I just remember that. I remember the starting defensive tackles in the game were Thomas Booker and Kurt Heinisch. Thomas Booker, a fifth-round rookie, and Kurt Heinisch, an undrafted rookie. And that was symptomatic of the team that day. That day, they started like 8 rookies in 2022. I don't remember what game it was. I just remember it happening. And then last year, you had a rookie starting quarterback and still more rookies all over the field. Juice Scruggs, Tank Dell, Will Anderson, Jarrett Patterson, Henry To'oTo'o is playing a role. All those things.
Yeah, no, and I think, honestly, if you go back the last several years, really starting with the offseason that Brian Gain was fired until now, there were various times, there was one offseason where it well after the draft, there was no actual nose tackle on the team. So you talk about being able to line up and play a game. They didn't even actually have a nose tackle on a team that ran a 3-4 defense. It was really there were some huge deficits. Now, I think as soon as people heard Nick say that, immediately in your mind you go to, well, what about all these weak areas of the team? And that's, he does too, I think. I don't think that they're super, super happy about the defensive tackle position right now, but they did go out and they signed Fatukasi, they signed Tim Settle, guys that you're comfortable starting in a game, and guys that, frankly, every has a few guys on there at least that are journeyman types at their position, but you got to have a guy that's at least that you can trust. And I think you're not slotting in an undrafted rookie free agent or anything right now in any of those spots.
Well, and I think even once the draft is over, given where they're picking, they're not picking in a spot where you go, well, this guy's a starter day one, whereas they have been the last few. You draft Eric Stingley Jr. with the 3rd pick. He's a starter day one. You draft C.J. Stroud, with quarterback's different, but that guy's not. C.J. Stroud, you could tell 2 days into camp, that's your starter. Will Anderson is going to be starting for you, all those things. They don't pick till the 42nd pick. So you're not picking till 42. You've got a roster that has really been augmented over the last couple of years. And that to me, Seth, you point out the only spot on this team where I think a rookie, I think there right now on this team, there are only 2 spots on the entire team that I could see a rookie starting for the Houston Texans, and that is at corner opposite Derek Stingley or on the interior of the defensive line. If they draft a kid with 42 or 59 and he really shows, and starting on the interior of the defensive line in D'Amico's scheme and system and the way he handles things is sort of just a label more than it is any sort of accomplishment because he rotates everybody. But as far as getting into the mix, they have a roster that's way better. They have so few weaknesses right now, true weaknesses, like Achilles heels, and they don't pick till 42. They're not picking anywhere in the draft where someone gets quasi-anointed as a starter day one.
Yeah, I would add left guard to that. I think it's a wide open competition at left guard. I don't feel comfortable. This is where the one part I would disagree with Nick is that you're also projecting that Juice Scruggs is going to be a good center. Mm-hmm. And I feel confident about Juice Scruggs at center. But when you talk about being comfortable walking out and playing a football game, that interior offense, that center and left guard position versus really good defensive linemen and good inside linebackers versus the Ravens just destroyed you. So that's the one area where, like, either Kenyon Green's got to be healthy and awesome, or Patterson's got to be healthy and awesome, or maybe a rookie comes in. There's some people like this draft for interior offensive linemen as you get a little past the first round.
Yeah.
So that might be a guy that they draft and maybe they I could see them quote unquote overdrafting a guard just because they're chock full of guards from the third round on. Mm-hmm. All right, but the Texans could really use a guard, so maybe they take a swing on one a little bit earlier.
I'll tell you, if they use a second round pick on an interior offensive lineman, I think that guy has a real good chance of starting. Oh, you're right about that, I think. But I think that's a sign of progress, though, that Nick is like, man, it's going to be tough for rookies to come in and start or make a contribution, you know?
The one thing he said where I got grumpy old man-like on this was, and Nick is really pragmatic about a lot of this stuff. He doesn't seem to let it affect him emotionally, but he said that this year, for whatever reason, rookies don't seem physically ready. Because a lot of agents, this is where agents are sometimes the worst people on earth. A lot of agents are worried that their guys might get hurt before the draft, so they've told them to back off on their workouts.
Yeah.
Like what? Is everybody so damn brainwashed by Instagram videos and everything now that they think the only way to work out is to be like jumping off of 2-story ledges and plyometric, like explosive stuff that's going to get you injured?
They are brainwashed.
Not like working out in a safe way is not the same as like sit your ass on a couch, put yourself in bubble wrap so you don't get injured before the draft. These guys, so this is what happens. You come into rookie, if you're not in shape by the time you get to OTAs, then all of a sudden your body is fatigued and you're not learning as well as you can during this offseason stuff. Then these same jackass kids that aren't in shape get 4 or 5 weeks off before training camp begins. They come into training camp, they're out of shape, all this damn GPS tracking they do these days tells you that the guy's got to sit out because he might pull a hamstring. And then, boom, you've lost your whole rookie year. Oh, come on, agents. Get your crap together.
Yep.
This is why they don't give a damn about your football team. They just don't give a single damn about your football team.
They give a damn about their commission.
They don't give a single damn about your...
They're a salesman. They're about their commission. They want their 4% or whatever it is.
I got to get my 3%, so don't do anything.
Yep.
The hay is in the barn as far as me getting paid.
Yep.
So just don't do anything.
They did a ranking of NFL rosters, I believe on The Athletic. My link's not working right here right now. But overall rosters 1 through 32. And I thought it was interesting that the Texans are 11th on here, so that's major progress. I mean, you're talking about a team high 20s, low 30s for the last 3 years.
Did you get it, or do you want me to read it? Did you get it?
What outlet is it from?
The Athletic. That's
from, okay.
On here. Yeah.
I can't tell. I can't click the link right now. I didn't know.
Oh, you didn't even know.
I don't even know what the outlet is. Yeah. Oh, yes. If you can read it.
All right. This is what they say about the Houston Texans with the 11th ranked roster. Quarterback C.J. Stroud looks like a bona fide star, and the Texans have compiled a bunch of playmakers around him on his rookie contract. They have some issues on defense, as no position other than edge ranks better than 14th. Oh, dear. Well, 3 of those groups rank 24th. Or worse, wait, how many groups are there on the defense? I'd be shocked if they don't focus on defense early in the draft because he doesn't show the actual splits or anything on here. So if they're saying 3 of those groups rank 24th or worse, they've probably broken it down into safeties, cornerbacks,
off-ball linebackers, edge rushers, interior defensive linemen. I think there's probably 5 categories, right?
So probably interior defensive line.
So which of the
safety,
3 are in the bottom quartile of the bottom quartile?
It's either off-ball linebacker or cornerback.
I would say
I'm guessing it's cornerback because Derek Stingley only played half the season last year, and then you've got 2 guys who are. The 2 guys who are listed first and second on your depth chart right now are guys who are both currently on their 3rd respective teams.
Yeah, I would say the secondary is probably taking some in these rankings. You know, the safety play wasn't great last year. Jimmy Ward was banged up. You just nailed what corner looks like. And interior defensive line is not one that's flood a lot of playmaking right now. I would guess that they said edge is the only one better than 14th. I would guess their edge rushers are in the top 5. Between Danico Autry, Daniil Hunter, and Will Anderson is probably top 5. Off-ball linebackers probably 14th, like middle of the pack with Christian Harris and Azeez Al-Shire, maybe.
Depending on like how they're grading these things, Christian Harris was getting. Like, I personally wouldn't have graded Christian Harris very well in the first third of the season, and then he got way better after that.
Right.
But yeah, it depends. And then, I mean, whoever's on the, you know what, if they're looking at Sam linebacker, whoever's even on the depth chart at this point, I'm guessing it's Toa Toa. Like, yeah, Toa Toa did not play well last year.
True.
He's got, I'm not saying he can't play well. He just, he was not going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year. He's got a few things he's got to clean up, and very well might. But yeah, looking at them objectively right now, you can't grade him that high.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that